Good afternoon, good evening, brothers and sisters. I got a question for you. I was having a conversation with this Caucasian gentleman who I love, and we were talking about reparations. And he was saying that there should not be reparations for black Americans, African American black folks. He says that he didn't enslave black folks, so he shouldn't have to pay for it. And then, one of the other things he said, well, if you were given money like that, you wouldn't have any pride. And he said one of the worst things could have happened was that during the COVID, that folks got stimulus. And they just stopped working, got lazy and stopped working. And don't want to go back to work. And another thing he said was, don't you feel like you should have a casino? Like the Native Americans. Native Americans shouldn't have that. If they have an opportunity, everybody should have an opportunity. It's about having equity. And so his thing is everybody should be equal when they start, but how they end up is based upon their performance. And I agree wholeheartedly with that. You know, a lot of these companies are Ford, they're doing away with the DEI initiative, diversity, equity, and inclusion, because Trump and his people are saying, we're not going to support you if you continue with this. And so what a lot of folks are missing, the reason why that DEI was implemented, the reason why they had these set-asides, as some folks like to call them, is because the folks that were in power and that was hiring would not allow folks that look like me, black, brown, Asian, women, to get to the table. They wouldn't allow us to the table. And then we were underpaid simultaneously when we got to the table. So how does that address? What do you think about that? You know, and reparations. Do you think reparations are fair? Do you think reparations should be activated for black folks? How do you feel about Native Americans having casinos? You know, certain tribes, depending on the tribe, I don't know how they fixed all that, but certain tribes, everybody gets a check from that casino. And from what I'm told, there might be a greater unemployment rate because of it. I don't know. It's what I've been told. I can't speak on it and say that's the way it is. I don't know. That there might be an increased element there, that because folks aren't working, might be an increased element of crime, might be an increased element of drug activity. I don't know. This is what I'm being told. I want to hear you guys' thoughts. I want to hear what you think. Chime in on it. Reparations, Native Americans, DEI being eliminated. You know, what's that they used to have for sport? Was it sports? No. It was a term they called back in the day, like in the 80s, I think it was implemented. It was about hiring. And you had to have so many blacks, so many Asians, so many women, or so many minorities, and women were included in that. You know, this gentleman said at his job, and this is a fair thought. I feel he said at his job, he was up in ranking, high up in ranking, and had a lot of privilege at his job, loved his job. I mean, it was an unusual type of job that, you know, he worked hard to get. Starting off as a migrant worker, a migrant farmer all his life, you know, all of his upbringing. So anyways, he got this job, but then all of a sudden they implemented these rules. We had to have so many minorities, and 5 women at his level. 5 women were hired at his level, and he lost his job to a black woman, according to him. So, I mean, if that happened, I would be very upset. Okay? You know, that would make me upset. But the point is, when I had my business, I hired all types of folks. But I'm going to tell you this is facts. More people that worked at my office looked like me. Now, my receptionist was white. I had several white salespeople, so on and so forth. But it didn't look like a typical 10% people of color, 10% minority population in a given company. It looked like probably 50-50. 50% black folks, 50% people of color, wasn't just black people, 50% people of color, and then probably 50% white, Caucasian. So people will hire folks that look like themselves. Ain't no question about that. People hire folks they're comfortable with. That's what the whole point of diversity is, that we're richer, we're grandeur, we're better, we're more enhanced. Instead of being macronomic, just clicking on one cylinder the same way all the time, boom, boom, like a metronome, boom, boom. We're all different, and that's what makes the company better. My perspective from growing up and background in education is different than the next person, even though we both have a bachelor's degree in business administration from Cornerstone. But because I have different experiences growing up, different background, I bring different things to the table, right? It's like cooking. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's going to put a little different seasoning, a little different flavor, a little bit of taste. I want to know what y'all think. Let me know. Holla back. Am I just tripping, or is this a real conversation?